Item Number SCP-Y-057. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. Due to the nature of SCP-Y-057's manifestations, direct containment is currently considered non-viable. Containment efforts are focused on post-manifestation documentation, suppression of public knowledge, and careful observation of emergent cases. All known evidence of SCP-Y-057 is gathered through covert means by embedded Foundation operatives stationed within global law enforcement, emergency medical services, disaster response organizations, wilderness rescue teams, and military recovery units. These agents are trained to identify, recover, and securely report evidence of SCP-Y-057 manifestations, particularly digital footage or eyewitness accounts obtained from deceased individuals' devices. To prevent public exposure of SCP-Y-057, an automated monitoring system, designated Project Lumen Sweep, has been deployed through Site-Y1's media surveillance network. This system detects and flags live streams or digital media containing SCP-Y-057 anomalies in real time, particularly in crisis environments such as avalanche zones, building collapses, cave-ins, shipwrecks, and other isolating disasters. When detected, a Foundation Rapid Response Rescue Unit, Rapid Recovery Team Zeta-0 Squad 11, Last Light, is deployed to the affected location under cover of a civilian first responder group. All public broadcasts, live streams, and online material depicting SCP-Y-057 manifestations are to be scrubbed from the internet through Foundation Web Control AI interfaces. If discovered post-distribution, such content is to be forcibly deleted and replaced with fabricated footage. Civilians who viewed the live stream must be identified and administered Class A amnestics. Due to SCP-Y-057's extreme sensitivity to aggression, all personnel encountering instances under extraordinary circumstances must maintain calm, non-threatening behavior. Any attempt to harm or capture an SCP-Y-057 instance is strictly prohibited. Attempts to capture SCP-Y-057 using automated traps, lures, or distress simulation scenarios have universally failed. All controlled testing involving SCP-Y-057 is suspended indefinitely until further notice. As of now, no controlled instance of successful containment or voluntary appearance in a controlled environment has occurred. Continued research and documentation of SCP-Y-057 are to be supervised by the Department of Benevolent Anomalies, under Site-Y1's Office of Humanitarian Anomaly Affairs. As per order of the Ethics Committee, attempts to recreate SCP-Y-057 manifestation criteria with D-Class or Foundation personnel is strictly prohibited. Description: SCP-Y-057 is the collective designation for a group of small, quadrupedal entities, referred to colloquially as Lumipuffs. Each instance is composed entirely of soft, white fur, with no discernible internal structure or anatomy. Despite extensive analysis, no skeletal, muscular, or organ systems have been detected within any SCP-Y-057 specimen. Advanced imaging and attempted dissection have constantly returned inconclusive data, as the entities appear to be wholly and impossibly composed of animated fur. These anomalies exclusively manifest around individuals or groups who are in a crisis, such as being stranded without food or water, stuck in a collapsed tunnel, stranded in a boat at sea, starving, dehydrated, or otherwise alone in a dire situation with no help. They have been documented to manifest around isolated and endangered individuals in both Baseline Reality and Provisional Reality-Y-1. Each SCP-Y-057 instance is visually defined by two disproportionately large, black eyes, and a circular or oblong mouth hidden beneath its facial fur. This mouth is capable of opening, displaying small teeth, and has been observed consuming minuscule quantities of organic material when offered. The purpose of this behavior is unknown, as the lack of internal digestive systems renders metabolic processes seemingly impossible. SCP-Y-057 instances exhibit locomotion on all fours or upright on their hind legs, depending on situational context. Their movements range from slow, careful waddling to small, purposeful hops. Their physiology suggests a weightless grace despite their fur-covered mass, and they emit no sound when moving. When vocalizing, they produce a wide variety of sounds ranging from soft chirps, squeaks, hums, and coos, varying significantly between individuals. A small subset of documented instances exhibit unique external traits, such as faint ear-like nubs, tufts, or antenna-like appendages atop their bodies, though the significance of these variations is unknown. Each SCP-Y-057 instance emits a soft, ambient golden glow of indeterminate origin. The light is not projected from a specific anatomical structure, but appears to originate from within the fur. The brightness of this glow varies based on what is believed to be the emotional or empathetic state of the entity. Higher luminescence levels are typically associated with increased engagement or distress. This light serves multiple practical functions. In complete darkness, the glow is sufficient to softly illuminate a 5-meter radius, creating a comforting halo around the SCP-Y-057. This glow has been shown to reduce heart rate, suppress panic responses, and lower cortisol levels in exposed individuals. The effect is more pronounced with extended proximity, often resulting in subjects entering a tranquil, emotionally calm state regardless of external environmental hazards. Behaviorally, SCP-Y-057 instances are universally docile. They show no aggression, even when physically harmed. Testimonies from recovered video footage consistently portray SCP-Y-057 as gentle and persistent in their efforts to comfort and assist. Common behaviors include nestling into laps, brushing against legs, emitting soothing sounds, or gently patting individuals with their small, stubby forelimbs. If the individual is incapacitated, instances will often settle beside them, continuing their interactions in a soothing and protective manner, similar to the behavior of a domesticated pet. In many documented cases, SCP-Y-057 have demonstrated limited but consistent problem-solving behaviors, including attempts to move small obstacles or debris. However, their physical strength has been measured to be negligible, less than 0.2 kilograms of force. These gestures are ultimately ineffective, but clearly intentional and executed with what appears to be sincere effort. Notably, in one incident involving a collapsed structure, a group of SCP-Y-057 was seen collectively attempting to shift pebbles and small pieces of rubble, often slipping, falling, or pushing ineffectually, while maintaining close contact with the trapped individual. Their interactions can also take ritualistic forms. In the Namibian village incident, Incident Y-57-12, a significant cluster of SCP-Y-057 manifested during a widespread drought. A recording showed the entities engaging in an organized, rhythmic motion, resembling a ceremonial dance. The Lumipuffs raised and lowered their front limbs in unison and spun in circles, pausing periodically to look skyward, and multiple SCP-Y-057 were observed visibly reacting to the lack of rainfall with exaggerated body language, drooping, slumping, and slow circling behavior, indicative of confusion or despair, as if they truly expected a god to answer their prayers and send rainfall. Despite their efforts, SCP-Y-057 manifestations rarely, if ever, result in a tangible resolution to the crisis at hand. This behavior has caused a number of philosophical debates among Site-Y-1 staff and researchers, many of whom report discomfort when reviewing footage of the entities. SCP-Y-057 has been documented appearing before both humans and non-human animals in extreme distress. In several cases, feral or domesticated animals have been observed reacting positively to SCP-Y-057, even in instances where the animal was previously hostile, wounded, or exhibiting signs of extreme stress. In one case, a severely dehydrated and abandoned dog was observed curled around an SCP-Y-057 instance, whose glow kept the animal calm until its passing. Instances appear to materialize spontaneously, typically within close proximity to the affected subject. No flash, sound, or visual distortion precedes the appearance. One moment they are absent, the next present. No instances have ever been observed arriving via conventional means such as travel, descent, or entry. This has led some to speculate that they are a form of localized reality breach, similar to microportals or sympathetic intrusions from Provisional Reality-Y-1. Recordings of their manifestations began roughly around the same time that SCP-Y-001, Yesteryear, opened in baseline reality, likely giving them access to our world. It is not until reviewing statistical records and documented manifestations that the sobering truth of SCP-Y-057 becomes evident. Despite their comforting presence and sincere attempts to help, no known individual, human or otherwise, who has witnessed a full SCP-Y-057 manifestation has survived. SCP-Y-057 appears to only ever manifest in situations where there is no hope for rescue or recovery. In this regard, for those at the Foundation who have studied this anomaly's file, the presence of SCP-Y-057 is not a cause for hope, but a herald of certain demise. Following the death of the individual or group with which they manifested, all SCP-Y-057 instances enter a brief mourning state. They cease movement, gather around the body, and emit soft, mourning vocalizations or patterns of glowing light for approximately 1 hour. Afterward, they demanifest just as suddenly as they appeared, leaving behind no trace of their presence. While their actions may be ineffectual, their intent is undeniable. SCP-Y-057 are not predators, tormentors, or observers. They appear to be caretakers, final companions for the dying, symbols of unshakable kindness in the moments before death. Though we at the Foundation understand the following: their light is not salvation. It is the warmth of comfort and hope, as one passes from their mortal coil. Incident Report Y-57-12. Date: July 19th. Location: Village, Northern Namibia. Summary: Incident Y-57-12 is among the most comprehensive recordings of SCP-Y-057 manifestations recovered to date. The documentation was obtained from the personal camera of Mr. Alistair Green, a freelance journalist from the United Kingdom who was producing a cultural documentary on the remote indigenous village, located deep in the Namibian savannah, far from most civilization. Dr. Green had arrived via motorized riverboat, accompanied by a local tour guide, with plans to live among the villagers for a 30-day observational and humanitarian documentary. Unbeknownst to him, within 3 days of his arrival, the boat and guide were intercepted and killed during an act of piracy by South African maritime raiders, operating illegally in the region. The boat was looted and set adrift, and all personnel aboard were presumed dead. Mr. Green, stranded in the village and unaware of his guide's fate, awaited his return for nearly 2 weeks past the assigned 30-day period. During this time, an unprecedented drought, later classified as the most severe in over 60 years, began to take hold of the region. The village's primary well had dried to dust, and the nearby riverbed cracked and fractured. Traditional water-gathering techniques failed, and panic began to spread. Villagers, already suffering from malnutrition and exposure, began experiencing severe dehydration. Mr. Green's camera captured the deterioration of both morale and health. Villagers were observed digging desperately at the base of the well. One elder collapsed during a ceremonial attempt to summon water spirits. Children were seen crying without tears. Mr. Green, increasingly disoriented by thirst and sun exposure, continued documenting the collapse. On day 17, during the late afternoon, Mr. Green's footage captured an extraordinary event. Approximately 34 instances of SCP-Y-057 manifested spontaneously throughout the village. The camera first shows a single glowing ball of white fur, silently appearing near a collapsed child. Within minutes, additional instances emerged from thin air, wandering between huts and among villagers. Initial confusion and suspicion turned to astonishment. Some villagers attempted to consume one of the creatures, mistaking it for a spiritual food offering or unknown animal. The instance was unharmed, but the act revealed the creature's internal structure to be composed solely of hair, with no meat or physical organs to be consumed. The attempt was abandoned and not repeated. Almost immediately after, the villagers began bonding with the anomalies. The SCP-Y-057 instances exhibited clear empathetic behavior, patting villagers gently with their stubby limbs, climbing into the laps of the infirm, and emitting comforting coos, hums, and purrs. Some were documented rummaging through Mr. Green's luggage and camera bag, retrieving empty water bottles and sniffing at the caps. Others approached the dry well and peered into it, only to waddle away dejectedly. A few returned from the direction of the riverbed, carrying small wooden bowls with only a few drops of muddy liquid, clearly an effort to help, despite the lack of any practical effect. What followed was a 41-minute continuous recording of what appears to be a coordinated SCP-Y-057 ritual. The instances gathered at the center of the village and began a patterned series of rhythmic hops, spins, and synchronized arm-raising motions. This behavior is believed to represent a ritualistic rain dance, and is consistent with movements documented in other SCP-Y-057 manifestations during drought scenarios. The performance grew increasingly frantic as time passed. The light from the anomalies glowed brighter, fluctuating as if straining. When no rain came, the SCP-Y-057 instances paused, visibly perplexed. Several ceased glowing altogether and lowered themselves to the ground. Their body language and vocalization suggested sorrow and confusion with the lack of response from the skies. Mr. Green's camera captured this entire sequence, the lens beginning to fog from the intense heat and exposure. His breathing grew slower and shallower in the audio. Around the day, 34-hour, and 11-minute mark in the footage, the camera slipped from his hands, landing sideways. The last 37 minutes of footage depict a silent tableau. Villagers and reporter alike lying still, surrounded by softly glowing SCP-Y-057 entities. For approximately 1 hour, the anomalies engaged in what could only be interpreted as mourning behavior. They gathered silently around the bodies, emitting a low, harmonic hum. A few patted the lifeless forms, seemingly in hope that they would respond. One attempted to shield a villager's face from the sun using a scrap of cloth. As the hour concluded, the glowing began to fade. One by one, the anomalies disappeared, leaving the frame empty save for wind-blown sand and the abandoned camera. Mr. Green's footage was recovered 3 months later by a remote medical relief team. No survivors were found. Analysis confirmed that the footage had not been tampered with. All visible entities matched previous descriptions of SCP-Y-057. This event remains one of the most ethically challenging SCP-Y-057 events on record. It further reinforces the anomalous pattern that these entities only manifest when hope is truly gone. and death is all but certain. Despite their adorable appearance and heartfelt efforts, the Lumipuffs are not saviors. They are the quiet, final companions for the Forsaken. Incident Report Y-57-22. Date: March 12th. Location: Western Montana, USA. Begin log.
Okay, this is audio log entry 1 well. Yes, I should say my first and probably only entry now. Name's Jackson. Miles. Cave explorer. Found a new cave near Lewis and Clark County. Thought I'd check it out, before logging discovery officially. Been crawling for hours. It is amazing, really. I'll call it, well, I haven't decided yet. Anyway, that's a problem for later. Damn it! Okay, keep calm. Something just shook the place. Got a quake, maybe. My left leg's busted up pretty bad. And now, my way is blocked. Completely blocked. Air's limited. There's no chance I can shift this rebel on my own. Guess that's it then. Huh. I always knew it was a risk. But didn't think I'd end up here. Buried alive in my own discovery. God, that's darkly ironic. What is that? Some sort of light deeper down? Wait. Something's moving. Wait. What are you? Hey, little fella? You're glowing. Are you real, or am I hallucinating from the pain and lack of oxygen? Well, if you are a hallucination, you're actually incredibly adorable. I think that, some kind of glowing puffball with legs might describe you well. Guess we'll call you Globy. Globy seems really fitting. Yes. Hey, Globy. You don't have to do that, pal. Those rocks are way too heavy for you. Look at that. Trying so hard with those tiny paws. It's adorable. But hey, I appreciate the effort, little guy. I will take you from here. Guess it's just you and me now, Globy. Feels weirdly peaceful now, doesn't it? Maybe it's your light. Maybe it's your company. Either way, I'm really glad you're here. Day 2, or I think it is a little hard to tell. You're still here, Globy. Still glowing, still chirping. I think you're keeping me calm, buddy. Thanks for sticking around. I know I'm talking too much. Oxygen's precious, but you're good company. Makes me feel less alone. I'm pretty screwed, either way. You still trying those rocks? Stubborn little puff, aren't you? Day 3. I'm so tired. Loby. Air's running thin. I don't think I've got much left in me. I'm glad you're here. You made those last few days bearable. Even comfortable. Never thought I'd say that, but you really did help. Thank you, Loby. At least I didn't have to be completely alone.
Conclusion. SCP-Y-057, colloquially referred to as Lumipuffs, represents one of the most ethically complex anomalies documented by Site-Y-1. These small, ethereal creatures manifest solely in moments of inevitable mortality, providing companionship, comfort, and a sense of hope despite the dire certainty of death. Their physiology, devoid of any biological structure and seemingly composed entirely of fur, and anomalous golden luminescence, defies conventional scientific understanding and suggests an otherworldly or spiritual origin. The behavior of SCP-Y-057 instances consistently demonstrates genuine empathy and active attempts at intervention, despite their extremely limited capacity to effect physical change. The instances exhibit culturally symbolic rituals, including rhythmic dances and vocalizations reminiscent of prayer and worship, actions that indicate they may originate from or be related to spiritual or religious practices. Notably, SCP-Y-057 entities display genuine confusion and profound grief when these rituals fail to produce anticipated outcomes, strongly implying their actions once elicited responses from a higher entity or power. Current theoretical frameworks propose that SCP-Y-057 anomalies may have originally served or accompanied a deity-like entity or entities, perhaps acting as emissaries or saviors in another dimension or reality. The prevailing theory suggests that Lumipuffs could be remnants or survivors from an alternate world or Provisional Reality-Y-1 itself, where their rituals once had tangible effects, potentially due to the presence of direct intervention of a now absent savior deity. This theory posits that the deity they revered may have abandoned them, ceased to exist, or otherwise become inaccessible, resulting in their current anomalous behaviors that mirror spiritual practices without effective results. The anomalous and spiritual implications surrounding SCP-Y-057 present significant challenges for the Foundation, both ethically and logistically. The Foundation's policy for utilizing passive observation and retrieval of post-event recordings remains necessary, given the ethical impossibility of intentionally triggering or allowing such manifestations to occur under controlled conditions. Further investigation into SCP-Y-057 remains highly constrained. However, ongoing study of recovered footage and incident documentation continues, with hope of identifying patterns or conditions that may one day allow for deeper understanding. For now, SCP-Y-057 remains a poignant reminder of empathy and companionship in the face of absolute despair, a paradoxical anomaly representing both the tragedy and dignity inherent in accepting the inevitable. This is Director Waller, signing off on another report at Site-Y-1. I hope you'll consider subscribing to stay up to date with our latest findings. I eagerly look forward to having your audience in future reports.